I found I had to give up using the telephone probably a year or even two before I eventually had the implant. After switch on, I didn't attempt to use the phone, but I think it was probably 6 months on that I attended a workshop here in Southampton on using the telephone, being guided on various pieces of equipment that could help you and strategies for dealing with callers in helping you to discern what they were saying. And that encouraged me to start to try again. I'm married and my wife can make almost all the telephone calls, but I find, or have found, that you lose out, particularly talking to family. She may take half an hour on the call and relays what has been said in perhaps a minute. You miss the relationship. You can't guide a telephone call and elicit different information from the people you're talking to. So after the course here, I've tried to use the phone, and I've got to the point now where I can make a call if I know that I'm calling somebody who is aware that I will find it possibly difficult.
I can use the telephone, and I have no problem with the telephone at all.
As I say, I'm trying to practice as much as possible. And there's one funny little incident that happened the other week, whereas I was on my own in the house and the telephone rang downstairs, which again is something I couldn't have heard 6 weeks ago. So I thought, I'll go and answer that, and just have a bit of practice, because it's probably someone trying to sell anything anyway, nothing important. So I rushed down, pick up the phone, and the chap on the other end says, "Hello, could I speak to Mr. Madams, please?" And I heard it perfectly, but I panicked and threw the phone down.
I've tried using the mobile phone, and I speak to my daughter, who is very good with me. I also speak to my younger brother on the phone, as he lives in Scotland. But I haven't really used the telephone for quite a few years, and I find it difficult. But I've been doing it more and more lately, and I think that's what I need to do. I am improving. They're telling me I'm improving. So, fingers crossed.
I'm able to use the phone again after a lot of practice and help from the Auditory Implant Centre. They have a splendid training programme for this, and I've recruited various friends and relatives to undertake the sort of learning programme that I was given. And now I can use the phone pretty well for chatting to people whose voices I'm familiar with. I do find if I'm speaking to, say, a call centre or someone I don't know, that if I explain that I use a cochlear implant and ask them to speak slowly and clearly, people are always most helpful.
I was invited by the Implant Centre to a telephone workshop. I did go, and we tried all sorts of things, but I'm afraid I am not really able to use the telephone. I can talk to my family about how are you, what are you doing, things like that. But if they ask me a proper question, I have to give a reply to, I say, please text me, or I use FaceTime, which is fantastic.
I use something called a decked phone, and this is a very interesting phone because I can hold it here and I get sound in both the hearing aid and also in the implant. And having the sound in both ears makes understanding a conversation very, very much easier. Now, the problem that I'm having with it is nothing physical, it's actually confidence and psychological. I can use it with people whose voices I'm familiar with, But at the moment, I lack the confidence to use it to voices that are unfamiliar.
With the implant, I use the telephone to talk with my family, with my parents, my friends, and occasionally I use it at work as well. I don't need to, it's just all I need to make sure that I'm in a quiet place and I can use the phone without any help.
I've just started to use the telephone. I will only phone people that I know will understand and I can explain to them. I have answered the telephone once or twice when it's rung, and Jim, my husband, hasn't been there. I've managed, and I hope that it will go from good to even better.